How many people want to trade? Trade one resource from the other. Trade means two things, giving and taking. It also could be you give material or you get resources. So you have to trade either hours with material. You can trade material for material, or you can trade material for knowledge. All right? So if you give something and you don't have, if the other guy is not interested in something in you, you tell, I have this knowledge, and you say 1 hour for this material, or 10 hours for this material, or 10 minutes for this material. You have to finish this negotiation very quickly and then write it down and make an agreement quickly. Okay?
Do we have to like create a prototype of what we have thought about, or it is just like finalizing the idea? Like idea is just, we have just proposed the idea, but we have not thought about what are the problems, how we have to solve it. So in this step, do we have to just write it down, think about it, or we have to actually design the prototype?
You actually have to design a prototype. Prototype is a very, very elementary, extremely rough, not complete at all, a rough representation of the idea. Right? It could do, if the final idea, prototype is doing 10 things, this maybe could do 1 thing. And then the 9th thing we have to imagine that it does. So it has to be rough. Any grievances between two parties, any contracts that have been broken, you have to take it to Kavi. This is your final contract, this is your final trade. If you have agreed on something, you better deliver. And if you don't deliver, you get penalized.
We are actually putting an exhaust fan, means this, which will behave as a flow water, and one for here.
So you'll be able to demonstrate in the prototype?
Yeah.
Like we have multi-story building.
Okay.
3-layer roof.
Okay.
So the ground means the base will be used for trucks and buses, means heavy vehicles.
Yeah.
The second floor will be used for cars.
Okay. And is it part of the idea that you've been discussing?
Yes.
Okay.
So that will be the dominant design.
Dominant design. So you have to.
We'll be adding few things to overcome all these problems.
Good idea. So you have to discuss when you're presenting it to the team, right?
Yeah.
You have to discuss which is the dominant design, which are components,
Yeah.
and you have to explain these ideas. Okay. What was the space? What's the idea? Okay. The dominant design. What are the components? And also what are the key ideas? How did you start with the problem, and so on and so forth. Okay.
We will use junks like bottle to create some of the prototype kind of thing, like bottle we will use for flower wash, for pen stand.
You also make some fine like ropes out of it, so that to use it in other applications.
All what you do is it should be workable. It should be, don't put too much energy on making it perfect.
Yes.
It should be just kind of mota-moti, you know what I mean? Rough.
Yes.
We can use our imagination even though things are
Yes.
And some
Out of these,
We will need some basic tools like cutting tools.
paints. So
you can use it.
So we can use it.
so we'll keep it here. From the lab, we'll bring and keep it here.
You use the resources, you have to get this done.
Parts that is with which we have, if we're thinking what we could possibly build in terms of a system, but since ours is a process intensive thing, we're actually going to start implementing our process slowly. Since ours was a sharing based thing, we're first going to go out to all the teams individually, make catalogs of all their parts, and compile that into a single list, and possibly then we're yet to decide how we'll offer it to the other teams, but then we'll offer all the teams the catalog of all the other teams' parts and see whether they want to rent anything from the other teams as this. So that's our primary implementation.
Okay. So you make a prototype, you make some kind of things to show how you're doing it.
So basically what we are doing is we created a prototype for a road. Like this is a two-way road.
But you have to demonstrate it in a prototype.
Yeah, but the entire working thing we have to show, or it's like kind of a demo stuff.
No, you have to demonstrate into a prototype. You have to use what you have. So
Okay.
this has to be represented, rough representation.
Yeah,
Not a type of a model, rough representation where you
Yes,
show
yes.
how this will work, and then other people can see the main idea of how you have used this to come up with your idea.
Yes, yes.
It's rough. It doesn't have to be perfect.
Okay.
It has to be just rough representation.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Each group gets to 20 minutes, right? In all these 20 minutes, you have to tell me all what you have learned in that model. You have to tell me what is the dominant design. You have to tell me what was the problem locus, what was the problem space, what are the different components of the problem space that you've discussed, which dominated the problem in the problem space, and that translated into the model. You have to tell me what are the little components, what are the dominant design, if there is any radical thought that you have brought. If there is nothing, that's okay. And how could somebody disrupt this approach? You have to also mention who could come along and disrupt this idea. And in order for them to disrupt, what do they have to do, in your opinion? So you have to prejudge who can disrupt your model. And if they have to disrupt, how will they disrupt? Okay?